Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. We are social distancing yet again this week. Our special guest will be Kaley Conner from High Plains Mental Health Center. They're based in Hayes. We're going to talk about just some of the things going on right now, all the uncertainty, not only in farm country, but all around the state and other areas dealing with the coronavirus and COVID-19. We'll also have features from Kansas Corn, Kansas Wheat, and the Kansas Farm Bureau, and our weekly updates from the Kansas Livestock Association and Paragon Ag Advisors.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com.
In Ag News from agview.net, the ongoing coronavirus pandemic has caused cancellation of just about every activity, ag-related or not, including the Wheat Quality Council annual Winter Wheat Tour that takes place right around the first part of May as they traipse across Kansas, getting samples and other things, looking at the Kansas hard red winter wheat crop, also going into Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Colorado. Well, that is called off, and so we'll have to wait and see what happens in trying to gain more knowledge. I'm sure a lot of folks will be doing their own kind of mini tours as the Kansas wheat crop continues to progress. Well, reports say this coronavirus outbreak is disrupting the global food supply chain and causing labor shortages in agriculture around the world. Panic buying, shoppers clearing supermarket shelves, and creating the perception of a food shortage. But retailers and authorities say there's no underlying shortages and supplies of most products are being replenished. The logistics, though, for getting food from the field to the plate are feeling the effects of the COVID-19. In the short term, a lack of air freight and trucker shortages slowing down some fresh food deliveries. In the long term, the lack of available labor will affect not only planting and harvesting, but if it goes long enough, it could cause some shortages, rising prices for things like some of those staples that we like to have. Spring starting in Europe, farmers are trying to find enough workers to pick strawberries and asparagus as borders close or shut down the usual flow of migrant labor. Wide-scale crop loss is likely in India as a lockdown has sent a large number of workers home, leaving farms and markets in short supply of staples like wheat that's almost ready to harvest. And this coronavirus outbreak exposing a major flaw in American farm labor as Politico reports that upping the pressure on the federal government to make migrant labor more accessible to farmers highlights a lack of health and safety provisions for the essential workers. Farm workers who are still planting and harvesting crops have a higher than normal risk of being infected because they typically live, work, and travel in some crowded conditions, and most don't have any form of health care, according to a published report. You can find all kinds of ag information, including how this COVID-19 is affecting agriculture online anytime at agview.net. Stay with us. We'll have more after these words.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Buy them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
Feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
And joining us now is Kaley Conner with High Plains Mental Health Center, and we're going to spend a few moments kind of just maybe giving some reassurances and talking about things are available. There's so many uncertainties, Kaley, and maybe sometimes we think there's nobody that can kind of be there to help us as we go through all these uncertainties right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a very challenging time for a lot of folks. We know a lot of people, unfortunately, might be feeling a financial strain due to being out of work or being furloughed. And just the circumstances in general are scary because there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of things that are well beyond our control. And so, the community mental health centers in Kansas, every county has a community mental health center. We are all still open for business. We're still seeing patients. Here at High Plains, we're still taking new patients, and we are actually now providing services by telephone and in some cases Zoom teleconferencing because we really want it to be available to people right now when they might need the extra support more than ever. So there is help, and we don't want people to feel ashamed for reaching out and asking for that help because these times are very difficult.
And really, this is the way we're doing our interview, and I will tell you, it's very cost effective. As long as you have an internet access, you and I can have a conversation for, I think, upwards of 40 minutes with no charge as far as from this connection. So that's important. Kaley, it wasn't that many months ago here on the Kansas Ag Report, we did a series of dealing with kind of mental health on the farm and in rural Kansas. And so those things haven't gone away either. And so we probably have a lot of folks that are kind of feeling that double strain right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, that probably is the case. I think times are tough for a lot of folks. One of the really nice things about being able to provide services remotely is we can provide that support to people right where they're at. Whether it's a farmer, working in the tractor on the field who's still able to take a phone call or to take a teleconference, or, the parents who are now at home with their children who aren't in school. We didn't want there to be any barriers, to the support that they need during this time of social distancing.
And that's kind of it. Is there are ways to reach out, and one of the things that our community mental health centers do is answer the basics, or that gets the process started. So that's one of the reasons why we just wanted to make sure that folks knew that if they're struggling to find answers, struggling maybe how to talk to your young children or your teenagers, that you all, the community mental health centers are a great resource.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are still open. We're still providing services. Our crisis line is still up and going 24/7. It is an unsettling time. I know for parents with schools being closed, that's a big adjustment for a lot of us, myself included. And kids, they're picking up on the uncertainty around them too, those changes in routines, the disruptions to their daily schedules. And so it's important for us as parents to give our kids that time to talk and to share their emotions as well.
Kaley Conner with High Plains Mental Health Center based in Hayes is joining us. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum. Growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com and agview.net. serving the Beef Belt and Western Corn Belt with reliable and relevant agriculture information. agview.net.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
And our guest this week, Kaley Conner with the High Plains Mental Health Center. They're based in Hayes, and talking just kind of a check-in for everybody's mental health with still all the uncertainty of COVID-19, coronavirus, everything else that's going on. So, Kaley, let's talk about, though, there are some things you can do. Say, you don't have to be held up in your home all the time. You can get out, and we do have, it's spring in Kansas, so we may have a beautiful day. We may have some challenges, but there are some things you can do to kind of keep your mental health pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are several coping strategies that we would suggest for folks right now. You mentioned one of them, but if at all possible, get outside for a little bit every day. If you feel safe doing that in your neighborhood, even if it's just going to sit on your front porch for a few minutes and getting some fresh air and getting some sunshine, that can really make a difference in your mood. Another component that's very important is while we are in this time of social distancing, we don't want to become socially isolated. So use whatever technology you have available to still check in on folks, to keep those relationships with your friends and family, because feeling very isolated can add to the stress that we're all already experiencing.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing in our, in many parts, you still can go fishing. And even if you're not like me, not a very good fisherman, but it's that activity, and I guess keep all your social distancing. But there are some, there are things to do, as we're on TV right now, but maybe shut off that TV for some of those things, and or switch to a different channel. We've been watching some of the older shows and just kind of giving our brain a relaxation, and to be so tense up and trying to know everything all the time can get very tiresome.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. There's this constant stream of media coverage about this pandemic. You can't get on social media without saying that's what all the posts are about. And after a while, it can be very exhausting, and it can really add to the stress that we're already feeling. So do try to set that limit. Get the information that you need for the day, but then maybe take a step back and do an activity that you enjoy doing, or spend some quality time with your family and unplug for a little while. That might make a difference in your mood. Also important to just keep perspective in all of this, that this is a temporary situation. We're not going to be like this forever. And when you start to feel overwhelmed or anxious or stressed, those strong emotions are going to fade. So it's important to keep our perspective through all of this as well.
Kaley, again, if folks need to reach out to somebody, have questions, concerns, maybe just try to find a way to maybe get a hold of their wide range of emotions, how's the best way to do that?
Sure. So for folks here in Northwest Kansas with the 20 counties of High Plains, we're available anytime by calling 1-800-432-0333. For folks in other regions of Kansas, go to Google, find your community mental health center in your region, and give them a call.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I know you all are very, very busy, but I think this is important to talk to all our audience of, together we'll get through this, and you all play a vital role. So thanks again for visiting with us.
Thank you.
Kaley Conner with High Plains Mental Health Center in Hayes has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more in just a moment.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Hi, this is Sharon Thielen. I am the Director of Education for the Kansas Corn Commission, and I'm just going to visit a little bit about our continuous learning efforts that the Kansas Corn Commission is putting out right now. So we all know in the state of Kansas and nationwide, there's been a stay-at-home order. So people are starting to try to figure out how are they going to educate their kids at home. In Kansas, they've been ahead of the curve and they made that announcement early. And so parents and teachers have been working together to try to figure out how are we going to keep educating our kids until the end of the school year. In our Kansas Corn STEM program, we decided we want to play an important part in that effort, and we brought our group of teachers together that normally writes lessons for us. We had 16 teachers come to the table and threw out lots of ideas on how we can adjust the lessons that we currently have, but also create new ones that use products that you can find in your home to do these hands-on activities, but also written in a way that parents can understand how to do those activities. And so every day for the last 2 weeks, we have been rolling out a new featured lesson every day on Facebook and on our website, kansascornstem.com, all spelled out. Go to our lesson library and you can check out all of those continuous learning lessons that are going to be added every single day from now until the end of the school year.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Since the COVID-19 pandemic began, people have been cooking and baking at home like we haven't seen in decades. This increased desire to cook at home has been evidenced by the surge in visits to eatwheat.org, a website that was created by Kansas wheat farmers to share the story of how wheat is grown. In the last month, traffic has risen dramatically. The eatwheat.org website and campaign was launched in November of 2017. After 2.5 years of operation, eatwheat.org has had 500,000 visitors to the website, averaging about 17,000 visitors per month. In the past 30 days, however, more than 30,000 visitors have come to the website. These viewers typically come to the site to grab some quick and easy recipes, but they stay to learn more about the farmers that grow the wheat that goes into their food. Some of the most popular pages on the site include quick and easy dinner recipes, such as layered taco casserole, Italian crescent casserole, and Parmesan garlic spaghetti. Another very popular post during this time of keeping school kids at home is salt dough ornaments. Eat Wheat's standout traffic performer is Pinterest. The popular Pinterest account has garnered around 3 million views per month on the wheat-based ideas shared on our feed. This totals 36 million pairs of eyes on wheat recipes and activities in the last year alone. The most popular boards on this social search engine include 30-minute meals, weeknight meals, I love bread, comfort food, and 5-ingredient meals. Visit eatwheat.org to learn more.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare supplement insurance plans. With Medicare supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that's served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
My name is Jim Sipes, and I'm a fifth-generation farmer here in southwest Kansas. And I wanted to take this opportunity to thank the farmers and ranchers across this nation and across Kansas for providing us with a safe and abundant food supply. Things are kind of crazy right now with this COVID-19 pandemic, but I want you to feel assured that farmers and ranchers across this nation are hard at work keeping that supply chain running. Here are a few things going on today on our farm.
Wendell is hard at work loading out the last of our 2019 grain sorghum. It's loaded on trucks and eventually on a unit train where it will be used eventually as a livestock feed source. When Wendell isn't loading trucks, he's our chief mechanic and is overhauling an engine and working on our fleet. Christina is hard at work getting our planters ready to plant grain sorghum and corn. Kathy is busy spreading nutrients and pesticides on our wheat crop, giving us the best chance of an abundant harvest. Deke, our newest employee, is learning the ropes while helping Wendell with repairs and keeping the fertilizer truck full for Kathy. Chrissy, my assistant, normally occupies this office, minding the phone and keeping track of farm operations. However, today she's working from home as she fears she may have been exposed to COVID-19. My dad, who would normally be out and about running for parts for the farm, is heeding the governor's COVID-19 stay-at-home order. And perhaps the two most important members of our farm family, Daisy and Murphy, who are always willing to help alleviate the stress that comes with farming here in Kansas. So, as you can see, operations continue on our farm and other farms across this great nation, despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Please pray for all of those involved in keeping our food supply chain open.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
In response to the coronavirus pandemic, the Kansas Department of Health and Environment and the Kansas Department of Agriculture are strongly encouraging all land managers to voluntarily reduce the number of acres they burn this spring. The resources of county emergency staff already being taxed by the coronavirus, the agencies believe it is important to minimize responses that would come with prescribed fire activity. Additionally, KDHE Secretary Lee Norman said with the potential of the pandemic overwhelming the state's medical facilities, any additional respiratory concerns that could be produced from breathing smoke from prescribed fire need to be mitigated. According to Kansas Agriculture Secretary Mike Beam, prescribed burning is a valuable land management tool in the efforts to fight invasive species and maximize land productivity, and this request should not be interpreted as an indictment of the practice of burning. However, he said the circumstances surrounding the pandemic have created a situation that calls for reducing burned acres this spring. If land managers do choose to burn, it is critical that they consult the smoke modeling tool on ksfire.org. This tool allows someone to see where smoke will go from a fire in a specific location and the potential impact it could have on urban air quality.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
I'm Aaron with Paragon Ag, a division of Keiko Isom, and I am here to talk about the cash grain markets. Corn basis has been suffering lately with everything going on in the world. Saudi Arabia and Russia have been in a price war after discussions on production cuts to address coronavirus. This has had a huge effect on domestic ethanol and corn demand. Currently, ethanol is trading sub $1 per gallon and is causing ethanol plants to cut back and even stop production. Because of this, corn basis has suffered and continues to do so. On Tuesday, the USDA came out with prospective plantings report and announced bearish news of an estimated 97 million acres of corn expected to be planted. Though basis has been weaker, there are still opportunities to sell into certain markets at reasonable basis values. Feedlots are buying hand-to-mouth to fit their needs in the nearby and not sticking their necks out too far. Soybean basis values have slipped back recently from recent values as well. Based on recent years' values, currently we are well above where we were at this time last year. There are opportunities for good values for those who look and know good markets. The USDA report on Tuesday had bean acres up 10% compared to last year at 83.5 million acres. Grainstock's report had soybeans down 17% from last year at 2.25 billion bushels. Wheat has been fairly steady in basis values. Buyers are starting to look at getting new crop positions put together and are likely offering some good values for harvest time frame on your wheat. It might be a good idea to at least start to get a feel for new crop wheat values. The planted acres report had wheat acres at 44.7 million acres, down 1% from last year. If you have any questions, looking for any help getting values for your grain, or wanting other selling advice, give us a shout at 888-452-8751.
Well, that's our show this week. Thanks for joining us. Be social with us. From a distance, of course, online, KansasAgReport.net, or on Facebook and Twitter. You can also see the show anytime online at KansasAgReport.net or on our YouTube channel, Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.